It wasn't that long ago when holding hands actually meant something to two people. The slow dance, when that favorite slow song was played at the end of the party. Now, that was a big deal to get the opportunity to be that close with the one you love. It used to mean quite a bit not too long ago. If a young man saw a woman, a young lady that he was interested in keeping in touch with, if he asked the young lady for her phone number and she offered the young man her telephone number and it was the real number, that used to be a very big deal. What today means anything as it pertains to the dating scene. So much has changed in just the way we interact, the way we hook up these days has totally changed. And I want to talk to you about the meaningless hookup. If you hold hands and you walk away saying, well, we held hands, but it didn't mean anything. I gave him my phone number, but it didn't mean anything. Yes, I danced with him, but it didn't mean anything. What is going on these days with all of the activities and behavior that actually are meaningless? And how do you expect to develop something meaningful if everything that you do and practice pertaining to relationships, if it has no meaning? Hashtag relationship asks, what is the point? What is the purpose? What's behind, what is the motivation behind the meaningless hookup? I was advised to speak on this subject, and we can take it in several different directions, but I want to make it as simple and plain as possible. So I'll start out with this scenario. The meaningless hookup, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the phrase meaningless hookup, another word would be purposeless date, pointless kiss or pointless kissing, empty sex, hollow compliments, worthless phone calls, unimportant text messages, inconsequential conversations overall, and for that matter, any frivolous behavior that simply leads you to yet another meaningless hookup. A meaningless hookup reminds me of a person who is shopping for produce. Have you ever seen someone shop for produce? They're over in the fruit and or vegetable section of the grocery store, and there are all of these fruit just in a bunch, and the shopper will go over and reach for the fruit and examine the fruit, perhaps touch the fruit, feel the produce, look it over, turn it around and look at the backside, look underneath, maybe squeeze it to see if it's firm enough, try to determine if it smells rotten or like it's been sitting out too long and no one wants to purchase or to select or take home, if you will, produce that looks like it's been sitting out too long and has been picked over by everyone else. That's what meaningless hookups reminds me of. And so I want you guys to set me straight on what is the point of a meaningless hookup. But before we get to that, let's get to some of the history on the term hookup. We hear it every other weekend, at least, that someone is going to hook up with someone else, but it's just a hookup. But it takes us back, the term takes us back to Major General Joseph Hooker. He was a commander during the Civil War for the Union Army, and his men were not very disciplined, and they were known for spending time fraternizing, if you will, with the ladies of the night. They were known for fraternizing with the working girls, hookers. Now, some say that this story is just folklore, and that may very well be the case. But the etymology behind the word hooker is derived from a French term pronounced accrocheurs, which means streetwalker, prostitute, literally a hooker of men. I want to ask you, if you truly believe that you are worth more than a meaningless hooker, how then can you justify wasting your valuable time on such a frivolous endeavor? Now, this does not mean, I'm not asserting that every time you hook up you're having sex or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying that when those who are responsible for trying to determine what these new terms mean, and there was some polls taken throughout some college campuses, and the college students agreed that hooking up does not necessarily mean sex, but it could. It holds a double meaning. For the men, if the man hooks up, then he's okay with you thinking that sex was involved. And if the woman hooks up, then she's okay with you thinking that maybe sex was not involved. But either way, the meaningless hookup actually does not take you any closer to a meaningful relationship. And so I'm going to ask you to do something today. If it were your wedding night, the night before your wedding day, the night before your wedding day, would you take the time to go out for a meaningless hookup with someone other than your husband-to-be the night before your wedding day? I would like to believe that the universal answer to that question is absolutely not. That's because you know that your husband is waiting for you. That's because you've already made the commitment to your husband, and that's because you're already preparing to be his wife. What I'm going to ask you to do today, if you can, I can respect and understand that too. But whether or not you have met this wonderful gentleman, could you make a commitment to the belief that he is out there waiting for you? It doesn't have to be the night before the wedding day. It can be 2 years before the wedding day. But if you know that he's out there, if you believe that he's out there because you prayed and you asked God for that type of relationship from that type of man, and you believe that that prayer will not go unanswered, then I want you to make a commitment to that belief. And I want your behavior and your activities and your decisions to remain within the parameters and boundaries of that belief. Just like you would believe in God himself. Just like you would believe, let me go in this direction, that your favorite team is going to play in the Super Bowl this season, how passionate you are and committed you are to that cause. I want you to commit to the belief that he is out there, if that's in fact what you believe. And I want you to carry yourself within those parameters and watch what happens to your life. And remember, I'm only here to help. Why? Because I want for you what I want for myself. I want you guys to be happy. I want you to be healthy. I want you to live a life of longevity, one with fulfillment. But above all these things combined, I wish upon you many, many blessings. I'm looking forward to your response. And as always, my name is Jay Jackson.